Hey, Charlie.
Bobby,
How are
how's it
you?
going, man?
What's up, dude?
Oh, man, just living that 2020 life. Excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk with you, too. We saw each other at a distance from the Opry, and, you've played the Opry a bunch of times. How weird is it to play to an empty house?
Well, if you've been to some of my solo shows the last few years, I got used to it. I'm kidding. No, it is strange, but it's one of those rooms that's got a sacredness to it, and so it's kind of like being in a church by yourself, which is in a way comforting but also strange at the same time.
Is the date July 25th, 1998 significant in your mind at all?
Yes, that was the first time I stood in the Opry circle as a kid. That was thanks to Mike Snyder, who's a beloved Opry member, and you kind of share in his legacy in that he not only does he play music, but he's a hilarious comedian, and it was thanks to him that I got to stand on that stage for the first time.
You were 12 years old, huh?
I was.
What was that? Did you drive up from Mississippi and, stay there? Like, what is a kid when you play the Opry for the first time? What's that whole experience like?
Gosh, it was my first taste of applause and attention at that level, but it also was this thing that had been a part of our family for so long. I had a great-grandfather. We actually have a piece of furniture in our house here in Nashville that he built with wood from his sawmill, specifically to hold the radio and keep the cover off this old-timey radio and the tools handy so he could tweak the signal and get the Opry. He was such a fan. And I didn't go up to Nashville alone. About half my dang hometown came up with me. We all stayed at the Marriott out there by the airport. And I don't know if it still has it, but it had an indoor-outdoor pool. And that was also a big, first city experience, an indoor-outdoor pool, Might as well have been Disney World.
Yeah, I remember the first time at church camp, we went to a Hilton with an indoor pool. And I thought, wow, this is like TV. This is like the rich people on TV because there was a pool underneath the roof.
Right. It's very Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah. Well, a couple reasons I wanted to have you on specifically is I saw you posting about the Mississippi flag, which I thought was interesting. Talk a little bit about what your goal is with that message.
Absolutely. My goal is, it's emotional for me. You see, my dad in the mid to late 60s, he grew up in the middle of that. And Grenada, my hometown, was one of the cities, Dr. Martin Luther King marched through my hometown, actually with Joan Baez. There are pictures of them. And the sidewalk they're marching down is the sidewalk outside of the old high school. And when my dad was a junior in high school, they integrated schools there. And when school let out that first day, there was a crowd of people waiting to beat the black students. And there were press, representatives of the press there, there were police there, and they took the camera from the press people, they smashed the camera on the ground, they beat. My dad said there was this one black kid that got a broken leg from how badly he was hurt and had to limp a mile home. And the police didn't do, and this is not a police statement today, I'm just saying that the climate at the time was the police stood there and let it happen. Nobody stood up for the black students, and the black students were simply trying to get the same education. And the school that they had been relegated to is a school my mom actually taught in her career as a teacher, and it was dilapidated. There was nothing in there that was decent enough to get a decent education. And the thing about the Mississippi flag is the people who were beating those students were waving that flag. And I'm the great-great-grandson of a Confederate soldier. I could take you to his headstone. It's a CSA headstone. I could show you the letters he wrote from the battlefield. I think he actually spent time in the war here in Tennessee, but he hated the war. He hated everything about war and about that conflict, and he wasn't a wealthy man. He was a poor man, and we have this history of poor people fighting rich people's wars sometimes. And so the thing about that flag is, one, if anybody should be complaining to keep it, it'd be the great-great-great-grandson of a Confederate soldier. But from his letters all the way to my dad's experience in high school to the fact that I really want to I am proud of my home state. There's so much in my home state to be proud of. And, I've got friends from Texas, and they wave that flag so proudly. And I want to be able to do the same thing. I want to be able to invite my friends to Mississippi, and for those of them who aren't, for really all of them, but especially those of them who aren't white, that flag is a scary thing. And so whatever reason someone might have to keep it, to me, it just doesn't outweigh the fact that it really has been a symbol of hate for a long time. And is it really that big of an inconvenience to let it go? We have a Stennis flag. It's called the Stennis flag. I forget the lady's name, but that's her last name. She's an artist and studied flag design and designed this beautiful flag for Mississippi. And her grandfather was a senator from Mississippi who was a segregationist. So woven into that flag is this story of evolving and changing. And I think that, it's starting to show that I think we've got a chance here the moment is now to really make the change.
So have you heard anything about any sort of movement because the flag, again, if you look at a flag in a normal flag shape, you'll say the top left corner is the Confederate flag, and the rest is, I'm colorblind here, but blue, white, and red, right? I'm assuming that's blue.
Right.
Okay. So have you heard anything about any sort of movement with this movement with this movement?
Yes. I'm terrible at remembering sports things, but I think SEC football, don't quote me on this.
No, you're right. You're right.
SEC, the NCAA, even I think the Mississippi Baptist Convention, which is that one really shocked people, but all these Mississippi organizations, all the community colleges of Mississippi, they've all put out statements in solidarity for changing the flag. And my dad today, he's kind of semi-retired, and his job is to work for tourism in my hometown. And he talks with all the folks who look at data and stuff, and there's a case to be made that Mississippi, just simply in a financial sense, take away the emotions and the moral reasons to change it. Financially speaking, Mississippi loses on a lot of business because of that top left-hand corner of their flag.
And if people want to read more about this, I know you had posted a link in your Instagram. Where can they go, or where can they sign, or is it how do people actually help? Because we got a pretty good audience that's going to hear this.
Absolutely, you do, and I appreciate you giving voice to this. I would check out the Stennis Flags website. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, look it up. While you look it up, I'll play a clip of. We'll start at his first song. Could It Be? Back in 2013, peaked at number 13. Here we go. Here we go. While you look it up. Let me know when you got it, Charlie. We're just giving you some hold music here of yourself. Okay. Let us know. We got it. Giving a guy hold music with his own music. Now that's a new one. All right. Go ahead, Charlie.
I got it. It's Declare Mississippi, which is DECLARE, like you're going to declare something, and then Mississippi, which hopefully everybody knows the song. MISSISSIPPI. There's a song to it. DeclareMississippi.com.
Well,
and just check it out. That's a great place to start.
I love that you're so passionate about it. You're from Mississippi, I'm from Arkansas. A lot of similarities in the two, and especially with, our upbringings and the small towns we come from. And when you moved to Boston to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston, what was it like being a Mississippi kid going to Boston? Because I get to go there now on tour, but I'm an adult and I'm a little more well-traveled. But as a kid, I would have been like fish out of water completely.
For sure. I'm lucky my mom raised me with a great a whole bunch of travel experiences. She believes in travel as education, as do I. And so I had a little experience being out of my little Mississippi pond, fish out of water or whatever. But the thing about Boston and Berkeley in particular was the incredibly beautiful culture shock of it. I was in this city with so much American history. It had its own little Italy. I could go shop at the Italian market. It had tall buildings. The tallest building in Grenada was the 4-story hospital. and best of all, the student body at Berkeley is one of the most international and diverse student bodies you'll find in the country. And there was something really beautiful about that because I connected with people from all over the world through music and learned about South American music and African music and people from Asia, people from just all over the planet. And we had a chance to connect on something we all loved that sort of felt like a universal language. It was one of the best things I could have done.
You know, Boston's such an interesting place. You bring up a lot of points about and the school, but also just that city. It is so multicultural and like an extremely inclusive, multicultural place. So, yeah, I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you about, and because we grew up a bit similar. You're far more talented than I am, and you're better at. As a kid, you're doing crazy things. I was just lucky not to pee the bed when I was like 9. You're getting close to playing the Opry. But, we played on the radio show, we played Black and White, which is a song you and Vince wrote for his album, because you played it at the Opry. And when you played it, I was like, I don't know this song. And I know every Charlie Worsham song. Some people will call me a Charlie Worsham stan. Some will call me a Charlie Worsham stalker. Whatever it is, I'm proud of that. I'm okay with that. But you played this song, and I thought, I don't know this. Like, what did I miss? But I looked it up. It was a Vince song. I came in, we played it on the show, got a great reaction. My question is, when you write this with Vince, do you go, all right, who gets it? Or did you write it for Vince?
You know, the really cool thing about that day, writing with him, I have this question I learned to ask myself when I'm not sure of direction. And it's simply, how's your heart? Because, if you ask somebody how you're doing, they're always going to be like, oh, I'm fine. They might be going through a divorce and Lord knows what all else. But that's just our programmed response. And you don't really get into the heart of things. And it must have been a really rough news day or something. And Vince is such a thoughtful and compassionate guy. And so I think I just sat down and asked him, man, how's your heart? And he just talked about, he had that phrase, man, I've just been thinking about black and white. And I think for him, someone who lived through the 60s, like my dad did, he saw firsthand the hate, but also the ability for a whole lot of people to come together in unity and work for positive change. And I think we have this tendency to think that things were better back when. And I think the reason for that is life is always a struggle. Being in a country and in a community and society is always going to be a struggle, ups and downs. But over time, the really nasty parts sort of fade away, and we remember and hold up the beautiful things. And so that's part of what nostalgia is, I think. And so I think for Vince, he just was asking himself that question: what direction are we headed in? There's a great old Merle Haggard song that I think must have been inspiring him as well. Are the good times really over for good? And that day for me was really about following Vince's lead and just trying to help document it as it happened. And it just felt like a Vince song from the minute it spilled onto the page. And so it was never a thing where we felt like fighting over it. And lo and behold, his record that song's on, Okie, is chock full of songs just like that. I think it's where Vince's heart and head have been. So I was just...
We lose him? Oh.
We call him back.
Yeah, call him back. All right. By the way, we're on with Charlie Worsham, who you know because you probably read in the podcast thing there. You can follow him on Instagram at Charlie Worsham. The guy is just one of the most sincere guys. As you can hear, he started crying. He didn't know I was going to ask about that. Also, just one of the most talented musicians, period, in Nashville, and everybody says it. And the session players are usually the guys that play music on albums are kind of the elite, but even they kind of tip their hat to Charlie Worsham. So just know that. He played banjo when he was just a kid, junior national banjo championship. There's a whole long form about his career at an earlier Bobbycast, so if you like him, go check that out. But we're going to try to get him back on right now. Mike D is talking with them. You can also check out Amy's podcast, 4 Things with Amy Brown. All right, we're going to put him back on. As you can tell, we're not editing this at all.
All right, he's back. Here
All
he
right,
is.
there he
In
is.
3, 2.
All right, there he is. Hey, Charlie, so there never was that moment where you had to declare whose song it was?
No, there wasn't. And I know that happens a lot when two artists write together. But for whatever reason, it just felt like it belonged to him. And I was totally cool with that.
I'm going to ask you a question that I was asked a lot a couple of years ago. Now I kind of lead this question. But you ever think about going back home and running for any sort of office to actually make a change? Or do you feel like your music is your platform and that's how you're going to do it?
Well, first let me say, Bobby, that I love that is something that you are keeping your ear to the ground on, and I will support you all the way because I just believe in who you are and your integrity and character. I think for me, it's too early to know, and honestly, I don't know that I'd want that job. I feel like the people who do those jobs the best don't do them because they really want the job. I don't know that I trust anybody that wants. It's not an easy job if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And I definitely, listen, I don't need to be in politics one bit. Like, I would actually make a lot less money and have a lot more work if I did it.
Right.
And anybody that wants to be a career politician, like, not the kind of person that I would want representing me. It's exactly what you just said. So I don't want to be a politician. I would actually love to be able to affect just a bit of change, because no one person goes in and changes the whole system, right? I mean, culture is changed through a slow rock being pushed over a lot of time. I would like to have my shot at shoving that big old boulder for a few minutes. Like, that's how I look at it.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I'm open to anything. I don't see it at the moment, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't if the moment called for it, because I'm with you. And the beautiful thing being that there are so many ways to create change. Just simply voting is such a powerful thing. And I would be so excited to see America's percentage of voters who exercise their opportunity to vote go up. That would make me so happy. And registering voters, especially in my home state, and right across the river in Arkansas, you saw a lot of this too in the 60s. The power of registering people to vote, and barely 50 years ago, that cost people their lives. When you talk about Medgar Evers and Mickey Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman, the three civil rights workers in Philadelphia, Mississippi, there was a guy named Vernon Damer. His house was firebombed by the KKK because he was trying to register voters. And the vote is a powerful thing. A lot of people have sacrificed for that right.
I'm going to plug a couple Charlie things because I think if you're not on to Charlie yet, you should be. YouTube.com/Charlie Worsham. He's doing a whole series. You're performing on your bathroom floor, your bathroom. Does it just sound better in there singing on the toilet or what?
Well, the funny thing is, so much of the house is taken over with music equipment that I felt like the guest bathroom was a safe place in quarantine, that nobody else would need that room for any other purpose, so I could leave everything set up. And that's sort of the accident that became Live from the Lou.
He's part of the CMA Summer Staycay on Wednesday, July 1st at 6, 5 Central. You can tune into CMA's YouTube and Facebook if you want to check that out. Here is Charlie's latest single, I Hope I'm Stoned When Jesus Takes Me Home.
Hope I'm stoned when Jesus takes me home. Flying high up through them clouds, knowing I don't have to ever come down. I'm rolling up a J, just in case today's the day. Hope I'm stoned when Jesus takes me home.
Let me ask you this. Are you going to cut your hair or is this the new thing? You just going to be, long-haired Charlie now?
Long hair for the foreseeable future. I'm sort of embracing it.
Yeah. It looks good on you. I wish I could pull it off. I would just not. Mine gets curly, though. It looks like I get a perm when I grow my hair out. Charlie, yours looks good long.
Well, thank you. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep it, so I'm going to embrace it while I can.
Check out his Instagram, @Charlie Worsham. Charlie, good to talk to you, my friend. If you ever need anything, personal or professional, just I'm a phone call away or a letter away. You like to write letters, or a letter away. It just may take a little longer for me to get back to you if you write a letter.
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
I appreciate you so much.
All right, Charlie. There he is, Charlie Worsham. Thanks, Charlie. See you, bud.
See you, man.
Hey, guys. It's Bobby Bones. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and then go check it out. A lot of artists, a lot of songwriters, a lot of music. Welcome to the Bobby Cash channel.